What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to another episode of Marvel Future Fight. So let's jump right on in. I want to wrap up with my thoughts on Ghost Rider in this video and show you some of the gameplay. Let's talk about Ghost Rider at PvP. So I wasn't lucky, but I did obtain Ghost Rider's artifact, his 4-star artifact inside of here, which does grant him the when his HP basically drops below, he gets that HP, you know, that recovery effect that goes inside of here. And I attempted to use Ghost Rider inside PvP. To be honest with you, I didn't really see the viability of him there. Like for all intensive purposes, the problem with Ghost Rider inside of PvP to me is that it just relies on too many things happening. One, you're relying on the fact that he's not going to take a lot of damage inside of PvP, and that's just not the case with this character. He is a glass cannon build. Like he takes more damage even at tier 4 than I would have presumed him to take from that I've seen some T3s not take the way he does, and it creates some problems inside of World Boss, especially I think for your average casual player, where you're going to be getting hit by some attacks, especially purple attacks inside World Boss Legend, that just tends to like put you in bad positions. So the really bad part about that overall, what I'm saying is I don't know how viable Ghost Rider is going to be inside PvP, because A, he doesn't take a hit very well, and then B, you're really hoping for him to activate this effect over here where he basically does the damage against supervillains. This is bad when you jump inside PvP. So let's go like Otherworld Battle would be the main bread and butter of PvP. I think that most players are playing right now. Like that's the first up. So if you go inside Otherworld PvP and we were to say like, okay, well, here goes the teams that are, you know, these are the characters that are they're debuffed this week, so nobody's gonna be playing inside there. So what players are playing with? So like, let's take a look at the top inside here. So people are already throwing Ghost Rider in because that's gonna be probably the best option, since you don't have to worry about Wolverine and you don't have to worry about Adam Warlock, and those are going to be two of his biggest problems to worry about, to be honest with you, because Wolverine can take a little bit of a hit and Adam Warlock can definitely take a hit. So when you look at those characters inside of Otherworld Battle alone, you start to see some of the problem, right? Like it's not essentially that the villains are shining out inside PvP where you get, you know, Jean Grey gets she's already going to do more damage than Ghost Rider is going to be able to take and tank. Characters like Thanos are going to do more damage than Ghost Rider can take and tank. So he's not a very tanky type character that can really benefit from that drop below 1. That artifact almost starts to look like that it's like a gimmick, right? It's like as good as a safety valve. Like, you know, if you end up in trouble, you can you know, get a second chance, but not like the same way where Wolverine's, he's like a tanky character, so it makes sense on him. But I still think that there's a lot of value inside of Ghost Rider overall. Specifically, he's a fun character to play and he does a lot of damage. So what I'm going to do right now is just going to play around with him inside of PvE content, because I think that's where the most players are going to be looking at the character. So you've got Ghost Rider over here, and this is what you're basically looking at, right? So let's go inside his team so that way you can look at the bonuses overall to the character, because there's some important things to recognize with the character overall. This is probably the best team up that you can have for Ghost Rider, getting the benefits from Ghost Rider Rodriguez and getting the benefits from Ghost Panther. And why do I say that? So like if we go inside of his details, you can see that Ghost Rider is going to really benefit from fire resist and fire damage that are generated by these characters. So right now, for instance, Ghost Rider is being used as a leadership and he's getting the fire resist ability from there. So he's getting I think it's a 40% fire resist that he gives himself. Let me go back and take a look at that real quick. Yeah, his leadership gives him an innate fire resist by 50%. Why is fire resist important? Because if you take Ghost Rider to tier 4, so remember that, if you take Ghost Rider to tier 4, Ghost Rider's tier 4 benefits from him having fire resistance. So basically, he gets the increase to his fire damage by 50% of his fire resistance up to 100. So what does that mean for you as the player? That means that if you go inside here and his fire resist is set at 155, you literally get 50% of that. So let's say it's 75 overall or something like that. I'm really bad at math, guys, so don't hammer me on this one, but that's something like, you know, you're getting roughly half of this number. If his fire resist was all the way up to 200, then you would get 100% of the fire resist, and that would be added to your fire damage. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with Ghost Rider at tier 4, and remember that you're only getting that ability from there where you're activating the tier 4. It doesn't come with all the other abilities. So when you start to look at the rest of the team ups, you look at Ghost Panther, for instance, and Ghost Panther's passive ability to all allies, he's given an increase in fire damage. He's also increasing the basic damage for supervillain factions as well. And then his leadership can also be used to increase the fire damage. So effectively, you've got 80 fire damage just coming from Ghost Panther's abilities inside of his passive ability, right? So that's really, really good for the character. I don't think there's anything on the uniform. I don't even think he has a uniform. Never mind. What am I talking about? So then when we look at Robbie Reyes, so going over to Robbie Reyes, you can look at his skills, for instance, excuse me, Hellfire Charge, and for fire allies here, he's applying 60% fire resist, and then he's also increasing fire damage by 30 inside here. Leadership, not necessarily anything Holmes to write about, it's just to ignore target's dodge rate by 50%. Which could still be heavily utilized depending on the boss type that you're fighting, right? Like, especially if it's a boss type that needs the ignore target's dodge rate and you don't have any of that innate into the character. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I can give you the down and dirty on the differences numerically between using Ghost Rider as his own lead or using Ghost Panther's own lead and getting the numerical differences between his 148 fire damage versus the 150 fire resist that he has here. That's going to be something that you need to figure out, and it's really going to probably come down to a matter of whether or not you look at the character overall and go, hey, you know what, these are benefits that I'm going to get from him just staying at level 80 versus tier 4, and how often I'm triggering that T4 inside the ability. Because if you're not getting a T4 off as much as you'd like, then obviously it's probably more beneficial to just go with his fire damage than it is to go with his fire resist. I'm playing around right now with him as his own lead. So now that gets into us going back into world boss, for instance, right? So world boss, we can look at Gore, for instance. Gore is gonna, I always like to use Gore when I'm trying to figure out if a character is good, because that's gonna be where he is, Gore or King. So we'll do both of them here. So I'm gonna go level 9 with this one, and realistically, I'm gonna say it again. Half the players that play this game, probably more than half the players, are casual players, and you really have no reason to go above 2 unless you're trying to push levels inside the game. But let's take a training mode mission. So this is where I would take Ghost Rider in here, use his leadership so that way I get the fire resist, and then I can go in here and I can set up teams of like my allies. So you notice like there are allies inside the game that will give you fire resist, you know. So I'm already at 155, for instance, right? So 20, 40, that gives me about 195. So anything more than that at that point in 2 or 3 of the leaderships really not going to help me. I'm also getting increases to the fire damage as well, and that also has its diminishing returns where it's going to be capped as well. But for now, I'm just going to max him out on Ghost Rider with the fire damage allies, right? And I want to show you what I mean by Ghost Rider still even being at level, you know, T4, he still takes quite a hit for some things. Like some things that some other players would be at a tank, he just doesn't seem to be at a tank. Like that right there would have put him really below the bar, so to speak, but he's able to take some damage there. But even these, if I was to stay inside of them, they seem to take a lot of damage, and you do not want to get caught in there. These are, I get that they're purple, they're almost instant deaths for Ghost Rider inside here. Now, if you have the artifact, it makes it a little bit easier to be a little bit more aggressive with him, because you know you're going to get some forgiveness inside of your play. And I think it's really needed with Ghost Rider, particularly because of how slow he is. See, look at that. He's already almost dead. It's crazy. I'm not even gonna get off the 3 in here. Look at that. Tier 3 was his 3 and 4 was more than enough to just wreck. Slow build up, but it was there. So like really good character there against Gore, right? And that's at stage 9. And again, I hate to say this, and I'm not trying to be offensive to anybody, but realistically, most players don't have a reason to go past stage 2. I really realize that I've been sandbagging it on stage 2, and I'm gonna start pushing for levels, especially really as a way to just create content more than anything. Jesus, who do I want to get rid of? I hate to do that to you, Black Panther, but it's gonna be you. So we'll get Ghost Rider in there with Robbie and him. There we go. We'll set the ally team inside here, and we'll go for a fire resist team instead on here. Give me my fire. Where are you at? So it's like weird because I've played with him a little bit inside of PvP, and I just didn't see. It's not that I don't think that he could have some ability there. I just didn't see it. I think I'm gonna need some ignore target dodge rate, so we'll go off of that. Do I have any ignore targets dodge rate? You know what? We're just gonna do it with the same setup that we had. Where are we at? There we go. Okay, so let's do this against King at level 2. Hopefully he's able to wreck King. King hits a. He's annoying because he just doesn't stay in place, and really good damage on King. Don't want to get hit by any of his purples. Like, really good damage there. Oh wow, we skipped that whole phase. And the weird part about Ghost Rider, like his 2 ability is really gonna be where you wanna instead of using that as like an attack, use that as a way to get out of dodge. Like, look how much damage he's taking from that. Like, I've run around that with Thor and even Miles, and not taking those kind of hits. He does really spectacular damage. Like, it's really good damage output that he has, but he is effectively a glass cannon. Like, there's no if ands or doubts about it. Nice. Real simple rotation on a character. Like, he's a really good character, and the truth of the matter is that he has a lot of like, I also took him into giant boss raid, so I think I have enough energy for this. I am seriously depleted on gold, so so bear with me on a lot of this. But so outside of just that, and be assured that he can do just about all of the other world boss legends without very much like fanfare there to be had. And even inside a giant boss raid, I was pleasantly surprised to see how well he kept up with some Jean Greys inside of here. I didn't think that was going to be possible for him to keep up with Jean Greys, but he did. And I was pleasantly surprised about how well he kept up with Jean Greys. The Jean Grey left. I wish the Jean Grey stayed, so that way I could have competed against the Jean Grey. Maybe he left because of the level 80. Doctor Strange. Like, this team up doesn't even make sense. Cancel that. I'll be carrying the whole team there. This is terrible. Like, these are the teams that are going into Dormammu. Like, for real. If you need to see what the player base is like, really just go inside Giant Boss Raid. That's all you need to do. but he does really outstanding damage overall, and it's quite shocking, to be honest with you, and surprising. But it's nice to see the damage output that he's able to do. Get out of town. With the caveat that he does not tank a hit very well. And keep in mind, bear in mind as well, I say this all the time, I am not like the crop of players. Like, you know, I wouldn't by any stretch of the imagination say that I'm like, you know, a top tier player, especially playing on mouse and keyboard. But I find myself like to be indicative of pretty much probably like the majority of your casual type players. I mess up that rotation, it's something fierce. Oh, he got debuffed. Totally missed that, and he still got off some pretty good damage in there. Saving that 3 for the wind down here. Here we go. Let Doctor Strange whittle down the rest, and we'll come in after. Did they both get sent? Oh, okay, they got sent. Really nice damage on Ghost Rider. It's just insanely good damage for. Let's hang out here to get that going. Finish that out with that. Here we go. So he's a really good character overall. Like I said, I don't have very many complaints about this character one bit, except that you have to be aware that he does not take a hit very well. It is what it is. So I think I have some PvP matches that I can show you inside of here. Let's go timeline battle, and you get to see him inside here. This was the team I had set up, basically getting Strafe to hopefully hang around longer than Wasp, and then getting this bad boy to give me some damage resist. But you can judge on this. I don't really care about timeline battle. I'm not a big fan. I play it just to get whatever rewards are coming. It doesn't really make difference to me. I like giving up on PvP. This is not a PvP game. So who we got? We got Sentry, Thanos, and him. And I'm not even in Vibranium League at this point, so it doesn't make a difference. Like my fucking, these guys aren't even surviving my freaking. This is ridiculous. They're not even surviving him. I didn't even get a chance to get Ghost Rider on the field. I gotta get out of this freaking Challenger League. I think that's where I'm at. Vibranium. No, I'm in Vibranium. Okay, I thought I was in Challenger or Platinum or some shit like that. I thought it was. Okay, so we've got Gene and. All right, so you need these two guys to at least survive a little bit. Unfortunately, they didn't survive long enough. So let's take a look. He is stuck in animation, but he's got that fire immunity going for him, but not doing a whole lot. He killed her. He murked her. Now the problem is that you still got him here now where he triggered his artifact, right? And then the artifact didn't work anymore, so he didn't get a chance to get off that force skill anymore. So it's not even just a matter of having the artifact. You need to make sure that he has the force skill up. And now I'm going to be admitting to this too. I'm leaving the game on autoplay for a reason, specifically because most players play the game on autoplay, and that's where we're judging the characters. Could I probably beat a Jean Grey outside of autoplay if I was to use for me to control the character and do it? Yeah, but that'd be disingenuous to I think the majority of how players play the game. Like, you're really judging the game based on like, does he opt into skills that he's supposed to use, and can I just autoplay the timeline battle and then move on? So let's see how long Strafe lasts against Gene. Not so long. And then we got Colossus getting murked, so we got Ghost Rider up, so he's there. He automatically goes down to that 1, and then he's able to get the 1 kill on Gene, but that means that he still needs the 4 to come back up, and he doesn't have an ability or a way for the 4 to go back quicker than the time's going to be before his artifact kicks into play. And that's essentially what you seem to run into a lot with him when you're playing inside timeline battle, is that essentially you're owning up to him being the person that's going to do. And you're going to see it worse here with Adam Warlock, because Adam Warlock is a superhero. So he's not going to get the benefit of that 4 skill doing the massive amounts of damage to Adam Warlock. I'm surprised he got the kill. That's amazing that he got it. But then he's not going to have it to be able to rifle out the second damage. Now, could that be better if I had a 6-star artifact instead of the 4? Because then I'd be getting the 50% bonus overall. Sure, more than likely, for sure. But it's just a problem with the character, because then you see, like, if I have Wolverine and Adam Warlock sitting inside there, I run into the habit of both of them basically having the same thing, where I essentially get the character, he's up and he's ready to go. He might get the 1 kill on them, but he's not going to stick around for both kills. So I could control the character so that way I can try to run around and, you know, get the character flowing. So let's see, we'll do this real quick. So we got Jean Grey, Spider-Man, Wolverine up. And this is what we'll do. We'll take it off autoplay. I'll play it. Strife's not going to last long, but I don't really... I just need him long enough for the 5-6 seconds to come in. So that way he can do this thing. And then Ghost Rider's up. And look at that. So he does it. He gets her dead. I've got to use the 2... It's just not enough. There's just not enough there. So it's bad in that regard, right? So, all right, let's go home. And because I don't really care if I waste my rest of my challenges, but we can go into Otherworld Battle. And so we're inside the Challenger League here, but we have to reset the teams because we have a debuff on 2 of the characters here. So like those 2 characters are automatically taken out of the pool. So we're going to put in, we'll put in Ghost Rider because that's going to be beneficial to us. We can't use 3 of the most powerful characters inside PvP right now, just not operable to be used. So who should we go for next? So the problem is that we got evil characters. Basic damage dealt is being decreased right now by 500%. Speed characters are being done, and then any characters that have durability. So like putting in Strafe instead of Wasp didn't make a whole lot of sense. So what I'm going to do is I'll go in and I'll just see if I can't, you know, get this for the ally selection aside here, and then we'll deploy the characters. Battlefield deployment. We'll save. Which one does he have on him? He's got the remove purification effect. Oh shite, I forgot that we still have Wolverine in here. Can't have Wolverine in there, that's for sure. Can't have Wolverine. So who do we put? Villains. So we pretty much got to go with superheroes other than going with the evil characters. So who can we put in here? Would love if Black Panther could be in there, but alas, that'd be a joke, right? Jesus. We'll go with Spider-Man. I don't know why that was such a long thought for me. Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. That looks good. And let's search for an opponent, see what we get in here. We should be able to kill this team. They've got 3 of the debuff characters still in, and but what I don't really care about whether or not I can beat those teams. What I want to see is how long Ghost Rider sticks around in the battle. So we'll repeat this. So pay attention to Ghost Rider's healing pool over here, because that's going to be the really important thing. So we see that we get a kill on Adam Warlock. Jean Grey's still around. She's doing very meager damage to him. But there's not a whole lot of damage going out on their team. And then Ghost Rider effect finally triggers in and kicks in on his 4 skill. But he gets capped to Wolverine. Even though Wolverine has the off, he got capped to him. So let's watch this through about 3 of these, and we'll basically be able to judge there. But the point is, Ghost Rider didn't stick around even in that battle, which is a little sad. So again, we've got 3 debuffs. We got Strafe, so he's getting reduced damage, and then we got Colossus. So, wow, okay. He capped both of them. So his triggers here, and then he only gets the 20% restorative health in there, and then he dies to Gene and Adam Warlock, because unfortunately Adam Warlock is in the field, and it sucks, right? Ah, damn. You will be demoted soon. I'm not a PvP player, so we get another 3 characters inside here with Colossus, and then maybe I should throw Colossus in there instead of Ghost Panther. So he smacked Gene. We got 1 death on Gene. Let's see if he's able to stick around and cap her for the 2nd time. Nope. Nope. So you see, the problem is that 4 ability, despite you being able to say like, hey, this 4 ability should be doing maximum one shot hits for your characters, it's just not enough. So whether we have to switch out our CTPs or whatever, I don't really see switching them out. I think that he's going to be good inside like Alliance battle, Universal Superhero, and Paralysis. I think Ghost Rider has a lot of Paralyze on his skills. Let's take a look at that real quick. Snare, Fear, Burn, Snare, and Silence. Paralysis. Okay, so let's do this then, and we'll finish up the video here with this. Normal mode, we just need some blast type characters to get in there and do some spanking. I don't really care, just need them to clear it really quickly. So you can see the problem of where you're going to run into Ghost Rider with a lot of his abilities, or with his skill set. It's just that the character inside PvP, where it looks like he would be a good toolkit for PvP, I think you're going to have to go into a very specific PvP build that's probably going to take away his value from the other game modes where you're really going to use him. But I think that his primary, and the fact is going to be that a lot of players are not going to have that artifact. I got the artifact simply because I had already made some artifact purchases using some of the crystals I had saved up, and then I had enough of those tokens to do a 4-star selector for that artifact, for Ghost Rider, because I really wanted to see how he's doing. I had been saving that up for Wolverine specifically, but I did it with Ghost Rider for the show of this video, kind of regretting it right now, because I really wish I would have got the Wolverine artifact instead, but I haven't tier 4'd Wolverine either. And Wolverine's never been one of my favorite characters, so I didn't really see tier 4ing him anyways in the wheelhouse. So what I'm going to do for this, to finish up this video here, is show you Ghost Rider in auto. I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just going to auto it, because my thought process behind this is I'm trying to play it the way a lot of casual players will play the game. That's essentially what I'm looking at, is I'm trying to play this the way I envision a lot of casual players are going to play the game. So my opinion is that there's going to be a lot more players who are just going to put on Alliance battle and then just go in autoplay, and that's how they're going to let the numbers run up. And we can look over here to see how the game prioritizes the skills as well in terms of its rotations. And you could already see here, we're not rotating into the 4 skill for some damn reason. So like you can see it's going 3, 2, we've got 5, and we got the 6, and it's not rotating into the skill that should be hitting the hardest, especially against the beast, right? Like I haven't seen the 4 go off yet. So we basically got 1, 6, tier 4, and 2 being played out. I mean 3, 4, 3, 2, 5, 6, and the 7, but we're not getting anything on the 4 skill. I haven't even seen the 4 skill trigger at all. Like, at all. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, we haven't seen the 4 trigger at all. Wow. It is literally rotating me between 3. It is not optimizing his play at all. So this is bad, right? Because like at least when I play like Black Bolt, for instance, inside of the nodes, he will actually rotate through the majority of his skills. This doesn't. We haven't seen the 4 pop off yet at all. So it's been a minute and 30 in, and he is not optimizing his 4 skill in the very least. He's still up there at like 6 million right now, so he'll easily clear the 7 million. And I think this is what most players are going to be happy about seeing, is like, hey, look, we've still got a minute left, and he's probably going to get probably about 9 million. So fire speed increase, because it didn't want to trigger anything inside of here. But we see we got the 7 million, so all roars required. So if you're just playing because you're not being one of the competitive sweaties, then, you know, he's obviously going to be able to meet the needs for you inside there. But like, that 4 has not triggered once. Like, not once has that 4 triggered. In the entirety of the time, I haven't seen an optimized rotation. I haven't seen that 4 trigger. It's ridiculous. Even when he goes in there, he's still not triggering. I had to press the 5 just now, just so that way I can, like, what does it see a little bit more damage numbers in there? I'm like, come on. And he has enough skills that you don't have to worry about whether or not the downtime on these skills, because they're not that long in terms of paralysis being there on half his kit. So he's at 8 million just on an autoplay run with nothing happening there. So you're easily going to be able to take the character up to, like, you know, probably, I think the highest I've seen him was free-to-play Adventure, took him up to like 16 million or something like that. I think most players, like I said, though, obviously are probably only gonna autoplay the character anyway, so he's meeting out the damage that you need to get to the 7 million mark without having to actually rotate him through it. Like, it didn't touch the most important skill at all. Like, I want to go back and pay attention to, so you can see how important that skill is. Like, if you go and you look at Ghost Rider and you look at the majority of his skills, so he doesn't have an accumulation on his 3, 4, or 5. He's getting the frenzy buff of 21 and 15. We've seen way better frenzy buffs than that. He's got the recovery effect on there as well, but we've seen way bigger frenzy buffs on characters. His 5 skill is doing a all damage down, decreased damage on there, and it's giving you a very paltry increase all basic attacks by 20. But if you notice, the majority of what this kit is supposed to be based around is his 4 ability, because basically, essentially, you're getting that increased basic damage by 150% against super villain types for 1 attack. So the fact that it's not rotating into that, and you're really being reliant on this attack happening, it's really, really important. When you look at his 6 skill and his 6 skill, his ultimate on here, there's just a dodge rate ignore on here, really, right? And so, like, you can see why you're rotating from the 7 into the 6 and then through the 3, the 5, and the 4, because essentially with the 7 skill, that's where you're getting all of the flame damage that's going to bonus up for 10 seconds, and then you rotate into here, so that way you can get the full ignore target's dodge rate, and then hopefully by the time you make your way fully through the 3, 5, and then the 4, you're basically down at this ability and ignoring all of their dodge and getting them down in terms of their defenses for fire resistances and their damage resistances, so that way you can maximize the damage output, which basically ramps it up a whole lot. But without them triggering that 4, it's just dumpster fire. Like, that 4 needs to trigger, so it needs to happen in PvP, it needs to happen in PvE, and the rotation is not there when it seems to be, you know, the computer generating, doing what it needs to do. Still, I think that there's a lot of value in Ghost Rider and you playing him overall. do not forget, and I try to keep mentioning this in the videos, that he is going to receive some serious benefits and bonuses because he's part of the first batch of team up collections. So right now I'm working with all basic attacks being up by 11 and him getting an additional 1% pierce damage from that as well. Not to mention he's also benefiting from some of the other abilities in here, like the fire damage. And I meant to change this one. I meant to change this dodge rate increase. I'm going to change that one, max that out. There we go. And we get 4 tokens. So for every time you upgrade one of these, you get an additional 4 tokens in here. Oh shit, really? Wow, I forgot that it was going to cost crystals to do it too. So make sure you get these right overall. So he's going to benefit from these overall. So he's getting fire resist, fire damage. I went for poison instead of mine just because of the poison pools that happen inside World Boss. Anyways, but that's essentially what you're looking at for the character. I think he's gonna have some serious PvE value. I don't think the PvP value is gonna be there overall for the character. You guys have to let me know what mileage you get out of him from here. I don't really pay attention to PvP. I haven't seen anybody putting out any great PvP videos of Ghost Rider in there, so I don't expect him to be a PvP character, even though we were hoping for him to be two-way. Unfortunately, I don't think that's it. He's a good character. No problem with the character overall. Really solid. Got to pay attention to the flame resist, fire resist, and the fire damage abilities inside there. And you got to pay attention to your movement and getting hit. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry I ran a little long. Until next time, peace.